follow up on that. True or false, was there a letter that was submitted to the OCRF for passage to speak against Chairman Kevin DeWine? Yes or no? And what was that brought on by that, and who had brought that forth? And follow up behind that is, with that being said, and the answer that's going to be revealed, how is it determined, or how can we be convinced that neutrality will be able to be ascertained following the election?
I brought the letter forth. I'll make no secret of that. And this was something that was brought towards chapters to vote on because a lot of people in the state had a stake in it with having to work with the party and work with the governor. As far as the actual letter, if you go back and look at it, it praised Governor Kasich, and if it said anything about DeWine that was negative, all it said was we regret the negative comments that were said about DeWine. We think it's best to use it from henceforth. So there wasn't any sort of siding or endorsing some other candidate for any sort of in the race. There wasn't any call for resignation. It said that we support the governor and we regret the negative comments that were said about him. But again, this was something that was brought before chapters to take a vote on. Initially, it passed with the majority. The chairman decided it should not be sent out, and I respect his decision. And that's all in the past now.
Thank you.
Yes, there was a letter. No, chapters weren't given enough time to calmly and decisively think it over, bring it back to their chapters, get their members' opinions. It was shoved in at the end of a board meeting, a very long board meeting where we were trying to restructure our constitution. It resulted in a lot of negative things for chapters. I got a phone call saying that I didn't fall in line with the voting, and that should not have happened. We should remain pro-Republican. We should never say that we put one Republican over another, because if we turn on each other, November is going to get really dirty and really bad for us. We need to stay united, and we cannot force our federation to pick one side over the other by like a one majority vote. It was like a 14 to 13 vote, and that's not a large enough majority to speak for our entire federation.
The only rebuttal I would have to that is, and speaking with chapters afterwards, there was a larger majority, but this isn't something that was forced out. There wasn't a specific time period when we had to send it out. This is something that was brought before chapters and said, hey, do you guys want to send this out? And initially it was going to be tabled until the next board meeting, but there was no forcing down the throats of anything. It was simply brought before chapters to decide when and if at all we would send it out. So it was up to chapters and whether or not they wanted to send this out.
Can I follow up, Natalie? There have been reports of chapters being intimidated to go one way or the other, in this case, like the DeWine thing. So question to both of you, what do you plan to do to protect your chapters?
If any chapters get a call about anything, they can let me know. I've heard a few things about that. There's obviously a lot of people in the state that have a stake in this, that have opinions on it and want to seek ways to influence other people. So those calls may come up, but if there's any issues, they can certainly call me about it.
You asked how we would protect our own chapters.
Not just your own chapter, but chapters statewide. If a chapter comes to you and says, I got a call, we feel intimidated, what do you do?
Honestly, I've gotten those calls before, and I obviously report them to our chairman first, and try to get to the bottom of it and explain to them, if you're getting a call saying you're never going to work in politics again, or you didn't fall in line, you need to understand, like, that's intimidation, that's bullying, that's not going to work. People can't keep you from working in politics. You know, we're a large grassroots organization that's a lot of work for the Republican Party, and I just would reassure them that these intimidation tactics aren't going to work, and that if they need anything, we're always going to be here for them and support them, and they will be fine, regardless of what any political bullies are trying to say to them.
Kind of off of all that, if something of this sort does come up again, how would you deal with it in the future, of how you have?
I don't see anything like this that would come up in the future. Again, handling it from last time. I mean, if it were, again, this was brought up to chapters towards a vote and following up on any intimidation tactics. Like I said a few minutes ago, if any chapters do receive any sort of calls, they can easily call me and I'll handle it from henceforth.
If it happens again, which I hope it doesn't, it should have happened in the first place. Again, reach out to your OCRF elected officials or appointed officials. We will assure you that you'll be okay. We will figure out what's going on, and we will take care of it for you.
An additional feature before this Westfall. Do you either, obviously, there's some defiance in this, do either of you support or endorse these types of tactics, not only at the state central committee or even target more and to individual chapters? Do either of you
No, I
endorse
think we
this or
both just
promote
made
this
it
at
clear
all?
that we don't support those tactics.
Definitely not. My state representative was the one who called me and asked me why I didn't fall in line. And we have a great relationship. And I stepped in and I said, you know what, I don't care what you say. You're not going to come in here and intimidate my chapter. This is what they want, so it's going to happen. So no, I don't support it, and no, I will not allow it.
Are we taking still questions? Or?
Sam? On to the important questions.
I'll second that.
Gradually making my way towards the cookies.
Let me get a nice shot of those cookies.
Sam, would you like a cookie?
I'm good, thank you.
Delicious.
Did you just film?
Yep.
They're the stars of the show.
All right, how will you lead the OCRF in this upcoming general election in regards to defeating President Obama and U.S. Senator Sherry Brown?
That's where our field plan comes in. I keep mentioning that, but I keep mentioning it because it's extremely important. If you look at the statistics from the RNC, that a successful field program. Has everybody got a cookie? I feel like I'm interrupting. All right. It comes down to successful field program. Look at the stats from the RNC. A successful field program can swing a close election anywhere from 3 to 5%. Look at the statistics of a voter getting his door knocked on, getting a phone call. When that happens, the chances of that voter going to the poll jumps by about 50 or 60%. The phone calls that you make, the doors that you knock on literally do make a curve into the election. So yes, when you're out there making those calls, when you're out there knocking on those doors, you're literally changing the outcome of the election. Those votes, well, that's what's going to defeat Sherrod Brown. That's what's going to defeat Barack Obama. Coupled with that, changing the culture on college campuses, that is made to help switch our peers over to conservatism, as well as increasing the youth vote in the Republican electorate.
The Unite the OCRF ticket plans to lead us to victory in the fall. First of all, by uniting the OCRF, making sure we're all working together, we're transparent, we're communicating. Secondly, building up our chapter so that they're strong and that they're able to be as active as possible and volunteer and put as many hours in as possible. Fundraising is going to play a large part in that, because if we have the funds and the resources to incentivize volunteering, that'll get a lot more CRs out. So that'll be 3 very large parts of leading, obviously, a great field plan. Once we're put in office, we can look at how many field directors we're going to get, where we can put them, what our regional directors can do for us, and we will make sure that when the young people go out to vote this fall, they're not voting for Barack Obama, they're voting for our candidate in the Republican Party.